lady behind Fiber and Fox, and this is all of the socks that I knit in 2022. This is a little bit of a different episode, if you will, for me. I always record one of these every year, so you can jump back. I will link down below older episodes and other sock content. But normally I am a crochet designer and podcaster. I also knit. I talk about it all here with you guys, and I do some other supplemental videos for patterns and whatnot. If you want to check out any of that, if you just happen to stumble upon me for the sock collection. But anyway, yes, I'm Bella. Thank you for coming. If you just found me, thanks for stopping in and talking socks. And if you're back for yet another round, I appreciate all of it. Like I said, I'm going to be talking about all the socks that I knit in 2022. I like to do a yearly roundup. I think this is my third year doing this video, and it's always one that people seem to really enjoy. So yeah, let's talk socks. I will link everything down below as far as anytime I use a pattern or if I can find specific yarns or resources as well. I'm going to link those down below. I will also link the older box of socks videos if you want to watch my older ones. Both of them have some different resources in them as far as getting started making socks. I'm not going to cover that here. If you're not currently a sock knitter, I would encourage you, be a sock knitter. It's addictive. That's how you have 3 years worth of sock making content. But yeah, I'm going to put some channels down below. I don't personally have any tutorials or patterns for knitting socks. I'm a crochet designer, and this is just something I do as a hobby on the side. But yeah, I will link some channels that you might find helpful if you want to start knitting socks. But I will real quick go over what I use. I think I cover it in the other videos too, but what I use for knitting, basically I pretty much always, I have about a size 7, 6.5, 7 US women's foot. So I pretty much always do either a 60 or 64 count sock, stitch count sock. I vary leg length. I pretty much always do a heel flap and gusset, and every single year. Is this a square toe? I think it's a square toe, right? It's not a rounded toe. Square toe. I pretty much always do that toe. I have a very high arch. I find that heel flap and gussets work the very best for me. And I think there's only one pair of socks throughout all of these in the past year that I made that has a different heel. And yeah, generally I like something that's pretty mindless. I think last year I said, or at the beginning, yeah, when I put out the last year, 2021's video, I said for 2022, I think that I wanted to cable socks and I wanted to colorwork socks. And then January I was pregnant, so that didn't end up happening. Socks are very much my mindless knitting, something that I want to be able to pick up and bring in the car or whatever and just not have to really think about it and not reference a pattern. So if I am following a pattern, I like it to be very memorizable. Free patterns are great. And yeah, sometimes I don't often do just a vanilla sock. I like something with a little bit of texture or ribbing to it just because I feel like it fits my foot better. And I will apologize if you hear any baby crying in the background. There could be a baby crying in the background. My son is not a fan of me making videos, so he's hanging out with his dad. But yeah, generally I do some sort of textured ribbed sock. But the great thing about socks is you can figure out what your preference is and what your exact dimensions are and make them work for you. And then real quick, I pretty much always use Hiya Hiya Sharp Flyers. They're kind of a unique sock needle. They're becoming slightly more popular. They are on the pricier side, but I own 2 sets of them, and that's literally all I use. And I could get away with just one set. I have US 1s and US 1.5s, I think. So these are the one pair of them, and then the other pair is got sock on the needles. But they are kind of like a hybrid between a double pointed needle and a cable, interchangeable or fixed cable. So it gives you the flexibility of working with a cable, a needle with a cable on it, not a cable needle. A needle with either interchangeable or fixed flexible cable on it, but with the same kind of method, I guess, as double pointed needles. I really dislike magic loop, and I find double pointed needles to be cumbersome. So basically your sock is on 2 needles like this, and then you're working with the 3rd needle around. So it never makes sense. And I will try and find, I think maybe Crazy Sock Lady or somebody has a tutorial on how to use these because they kind of confuse people. But I found that once I started them, I literally can't knit socks on anything else, or I won't, because I really, really like doing it this way. So you have it on 2 needles, and they're nice and bendy in the middle. And then you're just working with this 3rd needle. So you just work down 1 needle and then you switch to the other. And this is not a tutorial, y'all, but I just thought I would show you how these work. I will link them below. I'm not affiliated or anything with Hiya Hiya, but I do have them in my Amazon storefront if you are interested in grabbing any from there. So that's what I use basically for all of my socks. And I pretty much I've only ever knit fingering weight socks. I'm not like a DK weight or cabin cozy slipper sock kind of person. I like socks that fit in my boots, in my shoes, in my Birkenstocks. I should link Birkenstocks below because those pretty much go hand in hand with all my socks. But the other thing that I use pretty much every sock pattern is light bulb stitch markers. And I'll link my favorites down below as well. But these I do usually every 10 or 20 rows counting, just to kind of end up with a sock that's the same size throughout. So that's pretty much, I have wooden sock blockers. I'll link the shop for those too, but I will say that they do get a little snaggy sometimes. I don't know if you can see. I can't see what I'm showing you, but there are some bits where the like wood veneer has gotten snaggy, so it's not the greatest. It's nice to show on podcasts, but I don't always use those, and I need to get my hands on some metal ones. So all in all, I have 12 pairs down, but 1 pair was for my daughter, and then I counted 2 pairs for my son as 1 pair. So I don't know, something like 10 to 12 pairs of socks in 2022. And I'm gonna just quick go down the list with you of what I made. These ones were technically pair number 1 of 2022, but they were half finished. So I had 1 done before January. But they were very long, so I'm counting it as a full pair. It's very long. These are just a random slip stitch design that I don't remember what the counts were. I'm not going to give you a lot of details on what I did, but I will tell you the yarns and kind of sort of what went on in these socks. But this was a fun self-striping yarn called Does This Rainbow Make My Black Look Big? By White Birch Fiber Arts that I had gotten at a fiber festival. They're a dyer out of Vermont, I think. Vermont, New Hampshire. But they have a lot of really fun rainbow self-striping. So these, they're like inverse because I split the skein and forgot to wind the second skein back. So this one starts on red and this one starts on blue, and it's all, or purple, and it's all fine. I made them really long because I wanted to use up the self-striping, but I did not do them toe up. I did them cuff down, and I still need to learn to do toe up socks. I know that I absolutely could. I'm just, again, it's so easy to do what I already know how to do and have it be mindless that I haven't bothered. But 2023, maybe I'll learn how to do that because we've run into this issue multiple times trying to use up yarn and just not guessing quite right. So I had an itty bitty bit of this left over. They're very long. If I were to make socks this long again, I would start the cuff wider and then do some decreasing, maybe like here on the foot or on the leg. Because these they fit over my leg, but they get like really blown out over my calves. So I would make them wider on the top and then do some tapering down, because obviously that's how a leg is shaped, but I, again, didn't think of that when I was making the sock. So that's pair number 1. No particular pattern. I will link patterns where they are applicable, and if it's something I made up, then so be it. Pair number 2. These have seen some wear, so they're a little pilly. And I will say, I didn't set any of these aside like for the year to keep them pristine for this video. I've been wearing these socks a lot, so they do have some wear on them. And I guess it's worth mentioning too that I wear my socks until they need to be washed. I throw them all in a like hamper in my closet, and then I will soak them in my bathtub with some dish soap to get the grimy bits off, because usually you use just like a wool wash, but socks, they're nasty. So I do a couple rinses, baths of some fragrance-free gentle dish soap, and then I will do like a wool wash, no rinse, kind of make them smell pretty, all of that afterwards. And then I dry them all in my basement on a rack next to my furnace, just in case you were wondering. A lot of them are superwash, and I probably could throw them in the washing machine, but I just feel like they last longer hand washed. Anyway, this is pair 2. This is kind of a scrappy, I really enjoy using up yarn that I have. So this is a blueberry waffle by, I want to say Sandy Turner. Did I write it down? Pretty sure it's Sandy Turner, but it's a free pattern. It's been very popular for years. So this is a great place to start if you are new to socks. This is some leftover Patton's Croy in the colorway Clover Colors, which I've noticed has changed when I've seen it recently in stores. So it's still called Clover Colors, but the colors are different. So this is an older version of it. And the green is West Yorkshire Spinners in the colorway Cardamom, I think. And then I did some striping. I held double on the heel, a single ply from a cone along with the cardamom, and then kind of did a stripy thing down here. The gray is from Green Mountain Spinnery, and again, the cardamom color. These are kind of a shorter pair. I was just using up some bits and pieces, and they're really woolly and cozy. I like Patton's Croy a lot. It is affordable, and overall it wears pretty well. You can see that there's some pilling, but again, I wear these in boots and everything, and they've held up well. I think actually the Green Mountain Spinnery pills, or not Green Mountain Spinnery, the West Yorkshire Spinners pills a lot more. I have another pair from the year prior in this green, and it's quite pilly. And that's another kind of commercial sock yarn. But yes, overall, I'm going to wear my socks until I can't wear them anymore, and I don't expect them to be precious or pristine unless it's like some really special pair, which I don't really have any in this lot. They're for wearing. They're for keeping my feet cozy. So if they get worn out, I will darn them as necessary as much as I can and wear them until I can't. The next pair, this one was kind of a surprise to me because I had thrifted the yarn, and it was Red Heart, let's see, Red Heart, Heart and Soul, soul like your foot, which I think is a long discontinued, but you might be able to find it somewhere on like Amazon or eBay or something. But it was this fun colorway that I thrifted in like a lot of yarn for just a couple bucks, and it was called Tequila Sunrise, I think we determined. This is just a plain pair of vanilla socks. Vanilla socks is when you just knit a cuff and then straight with like no patterning, no texture, nothing going on. So this is just a very basic sock in a fun all one yarn. The gray is Cascade Heritage, heels, toes, cuffs, and then the rest of it is that Red Heart, Heart and Soul, and I'm actually really pleased with how this held up. I know Red Heart can kind of be, I feel like it gets viewed as like the budget yarn, but this is actually kind of nice, and it's held up pretty well, and it feels very similar. I don't know what it feels similar to. I like it better than I think the West Yorkshire. I think it's held up better. It's kind of similar to maybe Knit Picks Felici. Is that the sock yarn? It's got a little bit of pill to it, but if you happen upon this anywhere, I think it's a pretty nice yarn for the cost. I mean, it was a cheap yarn to begin with, but I got it thrifted, so even better. But I like these a lot. Tequila Sunrise, pair number 3. Pair number 4. I have these in here as pair number 4, and I know I made them this year, but I literally just wrote them in today as pair number 4 because I was going through and I was like, I know I did these this year, but I didn't write it down. I keep track throughout the year. And I didn't write these down, but I know I made them this year, so we're counting it as pair number 4. It might not be chronologically correct. But these are another pair of vanilla socks, and they're slightly too short for me. But I was working with some Patton's Croy. I dyed this color with my daughter. We did some dyeing. It was around Easter time, so I think this was probably about pair 4. We did some dyeing around Easter with some leftover food dye that we were dyeing eggs and stuff with. And we did it in jars to kind of try and make a self-striping. It ended up micro-striped just because of the way it was wound. But it was a white skein of Patton's Croy. I don't know what the colorway was, but it was like an ivory white color. So we dyed this colorway, and then this was a different one that we had dyed at a different time that I had some remnant over heels, toes, and cuffs. And it came out really fun. Overall, it's held up pretty well. Again, I really like Patton's Croy. It's got a little bit of felting going on the bottom here. And it's just ever so slightly too short for my foot, just because I was working with a 50 gram skein, I think. And again, I was trying to use up all of it to the best of my ability, but I probably should have made the toes longer so they fit a little bit better. But this we're counting as pair number 4. pair number 5 is another no pattern pair. They're basically a vanilla sock, except I did a garter ridge wherever the color changed in the yarn. So these are Patons Croy again, in the colorway Mid-Century Stripe, which I think is a really fun, I wasn't sure about it, but I think I like it. It's a little peachy. I wish the peach and the orange had more contrast, like those stripes kind of bug me. But overall, a really fun colorway. And self-striping yarn, if you're not aware, is just addictive because you just want to get to the next stripe. So it's a great way if you're just starting out knitting socks to keep motivated to keep going. So these are kind of a whole bunch of scrappy bits for heels, toes, and cuffs, but I cast on with Cascade Heritage right there. I did something. I didn't write it down. It's probably Green Mountain Spinnery for the heel, and then Cascade and Green Mountain Spinnery for the toe. Again, just using up bits that I have, and yeah, just trying to maximize the yarn. I like to use it all up. So those are pair number 5. Pair number 6, I should have said at the beginning that you should do like a tea drinking game. How many times I say Green Mountain Spinnery in this video? It's a lot. But these are all in Green Mountain Spinnery. I held 2 different, I don't know if you can see the cones. They're kind of, I'm bad at this pointing business. Those cones up there, they are single ply mill end cones from Green Mountain Spinnery. You can get them super cheap there at the mill, and I have a whole video, mill tour and all of that. If you want to check that out as well, I will link that for you. But these are the Juniper Grove socks. This is the first, I think, actual pattern of the year, halfway through. Juniper Grove socks by Blue Mouse Knits. It was initially a free pattern, but I think it's paid now. But it's a textured rib, really simple, like a broken rib kind of thing. Really stretchy, really cushy, and fits really, really well. So this, I was worried how these were going to hold up because they are single plies, and it's very fine, like lace weight yarn, and I was holding, I think, just 2. I don't think I held 3 together, just 2. But they've held up really fine, and they make nice boot socks. There's definitely some felting going on like the pad of the foot. I don't know if you can see felting on camera, can you? Like right here, it's definitely got some felting situation going on, because again, I wear them in boots, and I wear them a lot, and I wear them hard. But these have held up very well, and the only thing I really did different, I don't remember, I think I was called for in pattern. I did an Eye of Partridge heel. Usually, you may have noticed, I am a slip stitch heel kind of gal, heel flap, but I think the pattern called for this. So yeah, Juniper Grove by Blue Mouse Knits. That's my hair. I'm very sheddy. Here we go. Nice and stretchy, great ribbed sock pattern. Fan of these. Pair 6. Pair number 7, these ones are kind of more exciting, and I know that these were my July pair because these are my vacation socks. So these are the Sprocket socks by Pippin Pin. She was doing kind of a make-along, I think, at that time for some scrappy socks or something, or her sock patterns, I don't remember. But I was doing them along with that, and these are all in Lane and Lotus mini skeins. So it's 5 mini skeins. The pattern is written for 5 mini skeins, but also I think to accommodate any number of mini skeins that you might like to use. 5 or more or something. But it's a cool, I thought they were color work. I thought this was going to be my color work pattern for the year, but it turns out it's just slip stitches. So you're only working with 1 yarn at a time. These are a little bit big on me. I don't remember what the stitch count was, but however the pattern was written, these are like a 68 stitch or something, slightly larger. So it's a little big on my foot, but they work. And this is the only pair that I did all year with a different heel flap, or a different heel. This is the Shadow Wrap heel. The pattern called for a short row, I think German short row heel, and I subbed this one in because I had been wanting to try it because I heard that it had more depth to it for somebody with a high arch than a standard German short row or wrap and turn or whatever sort of short row heel that you might do. And it does have a little more room to it. Like it does, I don't know if you could tell, like the arch, it does have a good instep to it, but it's still not high enough, wide enough, however you might want to say it for me. But it was cool learning a different technique, and I executed it okay. Like it's not perfect. I'm showing you the good side. but I think I followed a tutorial video by Earth Tones Girl. So Shadow Wrap Heel, that was fun to learn. And these I really love because they remind me not only that I made them on vacation, but they were the colors of our vacation. We camp in the summer, so it was very much the pine trees and the gravel and the camper and just outdoors. It was the ferns and all of it. It was very nice to kind of have a commemorative summer sock, and this was fun to work on vacation and have the constant color changes again. So yes, Sprocket Socks by Pippin Pin, really fun pattern. If I had to pick a favorite pair of the year, I think it's these ones. These are the Hearth and Home Socks by Larkspur Knits, and I think this may have also been a free pattern for like a short time when I got it, but it's a great pattern. Again, another textured kind of rib, just enough detail that it hugs your foot and keeps you interested, but easy to memorize pattern. Really, really, really love this, and I'm going to make a lot more pairs in this stitch pattern. But these are great. The yarn for these is a mini skein from my local yarn store, U&U, but dyed by the owner of U&U. She's not typically a yarn dyer, but she has a couple skeins that she plays around with in the shop. Really fun. I actually really, really love this color. Oh, and I did a partridge on this one too. I don't think that was in the pattern. I think I added that in, but it looks really pretty. But I really like this mini skein. And then the main color is by Beach Bum Yarns in the color Old Lang Syne, which I think it was supposed to be like a holiday, Christmas, New Year type colorway, but I love it. It's like a gray green. It's got some mossy colors and ferny colors and just got kind of a really outdoorsy. Really like it. And I like it with the mini that I paired it with, and they fit just amazing. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I tend to like more of a non-superwash sock, just because I feel like they don't stretch out, like the Patton's Croy and the Green Mountain Spinnery and even the one that I said was Pilly, West Yorkshire and all of that. I like a non-superwash because I hand wash them anyway, so that doesn't really matter. And I feel like superwash socks stretch out and also don't breathe well because of the almost plasticky covering to them. They're sweaty, and I have sweaty feet. But as far as superwash goes, I really like this. These ones, a bit of wear and tear on the bottom. I don't know if anyone can tell any of this that I'm showing you, but I've worn these quite a bit, and I really, really like this pair. So this was pair number 7, Hearth and Home Socks by Larkspur Knits. Highly recommend that pattern. I've realized now my count may have been off. I think that was pair 8 and this is pair 9 or something. These ones we're counting sort of as a pair. I only have one to show you because one already got put away in the baby box, but I made 2 sets of sweet little baby socks for my son, who you're probably going to hear in the background of the video, who was born in September. So he's outgrown both of these at this point, but these were the Stretchy Baby Socks by Pink Zombie Crafts. And another free pattern, and there's 2 variations in the pattern. One that's like this broken rib, and then one that's just like a 1x1 or 2x2 rib or something. So I made both versions. This is the broken rib variety. And she has notes in the pattern like that one is better for like chonky babies or something because it has more stretch to it. And I have me a chonky baby. I have a nearly, or he may actually even be 20 pounds, 4-month-old. So he's chonky. So he outgrew these very fast. But we did like newborn photos in the teeny tiny ones, and they're super cute, and those got put away in like a save box. But this is a fun and free baby sock pattern. So I'm counting this as pair number 9, this and the other one along with it. But these work up crazy fast. I made these in some, again, mill ends from Green Mountain Spinnery. So they're super woolly, and I was kind of worried they might be too scratchy for a baby. But then I was like, all the babies in like all of those Scandinavian countries and whatnot, they have woolly things all the time and they're fine. And maybe he won't have sensitivity if I put it on him now. I don't know. He doesn't seem bothered by it. It's a little scratchy for like up by your face, but I think feet are fine. Sorry, son. These are really cute. And I love making baby socks, but he just grows so fast. And I could make the kind that has no heel, so like a tube sock, so you could wear them longer, but I feel like those slide down, and socks are just a battle anyway. So I'll probably make him some more next winter when his feet aren't growing so rapidly fast, but those first like 6 months, man, he's growing quick, and he's already in like 12-month clothes, and he's 4 months old. So hard to keep up with on the socks, but I did enjoy making the baby socks for him, and they made for some cute pictures. On the topic of outgrowing socks quickly, I also made a pair of Hearth and Home socks for my daughter as well. She is 4, and she doesn't like to wear socks, hand knit socks for like everyday use, but she likes them in the winter for her snow boots. So we have snowy socks. So these are the Hearth and Home socks, again by Larkspur Knits. There was not a child size in the pattern. I think I just used the stitch pattern and then made it smaller. I don't even remember what I cast on, honestly. And I'm sorry there is like hair on all of these socks. I just washed all of these, but that whole postpartum hair thing, yeah, it's a real problem. So I'm sorry if I'm shedding and you can see that. It happens. I'm fairly certain postpartum hair loss is like 60% actual hormones and hair loss and whatnot, and then the other 40% is just your kid pulling out your hair all the time. It's a real thing. These mini skein, I have no idea what the mini skein is. Actually, no, I don't know what the mini skein is. There was a mini skein involved. And it did some fun. I wish I had used it actually like in a sock, not just for the heels and cuffs, because it actually did some fun, I don't know if you can see, but striping. I don't remember where it was from. It may have been Cup of Tea Yarns, who's no longer dyeing, but she was a natural dyer. I think that may have been where it's from. And then the yarn for the main body of the sock was, I thought I had snagged a skein of indie dyed yarn at a thrift store, but it turned out it was just like that Hobby Lobby knockoff indie dyed stuff. But again, I got it in like a bag and it had no label, and it was like, I think $2, $3. So super fun. And I have enough to make definitely another pair for her next year when her foot gets bigger. And these hold up. She doesn't wear them a ton, but when it gets snowy and cold in snow boots, they are great to have, and she does like them. So these are the Hearth and Home socks for my daughter, and I think we're on pair 10, maybe. There's now a cat in here. She may knock over some lamps or cause some chaos. She snuck in when I went out to check on my son. We have 2 more pairs. We're gonna make it through. Hello. Hi. You wanna talk about socks? No, don't knock over that lamp. I need that. Okay, this is Princess Buttercup. She's here now. Darling, the people want to talk socks. Don't climb in that shelf. Okay, well, she's going to be here. This is pair 11. These are the Hemingway socks, not Hemingway like the author, but Hemingway. And these are by All Knit Up Designs. And this is another free pattern, another textured, great fitting. They look super narrow just because of the rib to them, but this is my normal, I think, 60 count, 60 stitch count. And they fit really great. And this is another bunch of yarn that my daughter and I dyed together. Must you be here? Oh, and there's a snowplow too. Let's just. This is another bunch of yarn that my daughter and I dyed together. The mini is, what is going on there? That's just like the seam. Let's not show you that part. The mini is dyed with coffee that got left in the coffee pot. So smoked coffee, naturally dyed. Coffee's a great dye. And then this, we were over dyeing some onesies that had been my daughter's. We were dyeing them, tie-dyeing them for my son because they were a little stainy, but like still functional. So we were like, well, let's tie-dye them. And we had some leftover tie-dye. I think it was just like Tulip brand or whatever, like craft store tie-dye, nothing fancy. But we really like doing dye experiments together, be it natural dyeing or using the food dye or tie-dye, stuff that's kid safe. She really enjoys. So we made this awesome autumnal color with just some leftover tie-dye that was in the bottom of the jars. Again, use it all up. How just fallish and wonderful is that? So I really like this sock pattern. Again, I think I would revisit these as well. They fit nice and cozy. Hemingway socks. And then we have made it to the final pair, and I have to show you both of them because they are not matchy. These are my Scrap Vent 2022, we are calling them socks. I kind of started an unofficial make-along, like too late for it to be a real make-along, like 2 days before I started it. A couple people joined in, but it was small. But I wanted to use up scraps that I had for making Advent socks. A lot of people do the Advent calendars where they order from indie dyers and open surprises and all of that. But instead, I just went through my stash and I rolled off about 2 or so grams of a bunch of different colors I had in the scraps. And I threw them all in a bag, and then I let my daughter pull out pick a color every day. It was supposed to be December 1st through 24th, and then have the mini skein be like the final color, but I, again, started top down, cuff down instead of toe up, and I got to about here on the sock, and mathematically it was not going to work out that it would be long enough based on how much yarn I had. So these became my New Year's Eve socks instead. Can you not? Nope, she's in a bag now. New Year's Eve socks instead. So I added in, I think, another 6 colors or something to make it work out. And it's kind of annoying because this one is kind of like muted, and it looks like these are like all the same color down here, but they're actually different colors. I was trying to play fair and just use whatever color she was pulling out, unless it was like, I think a couple times I did put it back because I think she pulled like this black and this almost purple black like next to each other, and I was like, hey, that's gonna look crazy. But other than that, I tried to play fair and just let them be what they would be. But this one came out like so much more colorful and fun. I really like this one. This was the second sock. But again, like the toe area, like it kind of looks very similar. But they are all different yarns. I don't think I had any repeats on there. Something may have snuck in here or there if I had multiple scraps of the same yarn, but these are super fun. And next year, oh, we're back. Next year, I would like to do an official, or this year, I guess, 2023, do an official scrap vent make along. You're a lot. So you can plan on that. You can start saving your scraps up, and we can make scrappy socks together at Christmas time. It's always so interesting recording now because it's like I have to time the baby. I have to make sure my husband's available to watch the baby, or the baby be sleeping, and then I have this and my daughter's in bed. It's a lot. Make your mom a boss lady life, man. It's fun. But thank you for coming along and talking socks with me. I would love to know how many socks you knit in 2022, or what socks you're planning to knit in 2023. Any pattern recommendations, particularly if they're free or if you have resources that you think might be helpful to other sock knitters. Go ahead and drop them down in the comments. Let's make this a sock resource vault. Vault might not be the right word. That sounds like you can't get to it. Sock resource. I can't think. I have a cat. This cat, y'all. She is now on my lap digging her claws. She's mad now. She's purring. Yeah, you should go because you're kind of a problem. But socks. So that's all the socks that I knit in 2022. I seem to be averaging about a pair a month. That seems to be how things go around here. But yeah, if you knit any or more than me, I'd love to know. Again, resources, patterns, yarns, stuff that you're loving about socks. Let me know down below. I would love to make this a conversation, and I'm always looking for new pattern ideas. This year I have already purchased a colorwork. It's called Herding Cats. It's by Stone Knits. Because yeah, there's a lot of herding cats going on here. But it's a colorwork cat sock, and I'm gonna make those. And I don't know if I'm gonna cable socks. That sounds a little complicated with a baby. But yeah, socks are great for grabbing and going and having to just bring with you quick. I love that I can customize them to my weird sized feet. They're very wide, they're very this shaped. But I'm able, because I can make my own stuff, make it fit perfect, and yarn preferences and all of that. And I love using up all the yarns that I have. I try to make it as economical as possible and use up full skeins and even work in like little bits into scraps and just use up every last bit, because is it the most financially practical to knit your own socks? Probably not. But let's pretend that it's a survival life skill, and it's just fun. So if you haven't started knitting socks, I hope that you try it out. There's tons of resources linked below, and again, check the comments because people are going to leave more resources for you. But there's plenty of free patterns. There's plenty of places that you can learn start to finish, channels that are going to walk you through on how to make socks. And there's lots of yarns in all different budgets. So don't let that hold you back. And if you're afraid of fingering weight yarn, like you can even make a larger DK or worsted weight or something like that sock, or a baby sock. Those are super easy and fun. So yes, if I haven't convinced you, I hope you try it out, and I would love to hear about your sock making, either last year, this year, whatever. Tell me about it down below. I will see you guys in the next podcast episode. Thanks for chatting socks with me today and enduring my cat. Bye.